Welcome to Empowered to Grow, the podcast. I am your host, Hanan Basha, the business doctor. Following our conversations with empowered women who woke up one day and consciously claimed, I am more than enough, I am worthy, I am empowered to grow. And along their empowering journey towards realizing their own potential and their quest for growth, they became a beacon of hope and guidance for others. May you also find your inner power to grow. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to our Unchartered discussion on Empowered to Grow. This is your host, Hanan Basha, and I have the beautiful lady of empowering education, Rasha El Geoshy, my friend. And we were talking like kind of in the break about the evolution of education, but more of the schooling system. And the more we're finding the integration of asking the home and asking the parents to be involved in the child's education, and this kind of rising relationship wise of let's work together towards the benefit of the child, which is amazing in one sense, because you are more involved in your child's life and you're more involved in what, how his behavior, his education, his involvements in school. But on the other hand, it is also causing extra stress on the parents, especially now with what's happening and with, the transition into suddenly I'm expected to sit with my son and make sure that he's on track in the school things. So where do you see that? How beneficial are you seeing this in terms of you're on ground, you're on site, and you're seeing the actual benefits or drawbacks of this rising or evolving relationship?
All right. When we're talking about education in general evolving, everything has. And with the increase in technology, yes, it is very true. Students need to be technology enablers. They need to know how to utilize technology. They need to be able to stay on top of things, and they need to learn how to learn. And that's basically the most important thing. When we talk about the school-parent relationship with the child in the middle, it's very important that, you don't pull the child one way more than the other, because at the end, he is one child. Yes. He has needs. School only sees him as a student, and parents see him as a child or their son or their daughter. And someone needs to see all of this. Yes. It has become a growing trend for schools to have a whole child approach. Yes. And I think since this has become the trend, a lot more involvement from home has been required. Mm-hmm. But before we delve into that, we need to remember how schooling was. Teachers taught. Parents were only required to follow up that homework was done. Yeah. End of story.
And attend parent-teacher meeting once or twice a year.
You attend parent-teacher meeting once or twice a year, to understand, is my child doing well? Is there anything I need to work on? How is my child's behavior? Simple things. And There wasn't much more. If we talk about Egypt, I always had this belief that children are very smart, and they discover early on that the more time they spend on their homework, the more time their mom sits with them. And all of a sudden, the quality time with mom, is a tug of war to get the homework done. But sometimes that's the only time that the child actually sits with the parent. Okay. And I've seen it over the years that children who are less attentive in class have their parents spending more time with them because of the homework. And I used to tell my parents that. I said, I have children. I've never sat to study with them, except if there's something that they really don't understand. And I remember my daughter, when she was in primary school, coming and saying, "Mommy, you're a head of department. You don't make worksheets for me." Because her friends were all, mommies were writing worksheets, getting things off the internet, and it's a big thing. And I said, I'm your mom. I'm a teacher at school.
Yes.
But at home, I'm your mom. Is there something you don't understand? Go to your teacher. Yeah. And if you still have a problem, I'll help. But I'm not the person that you resort to first.
Yes.
And I've been like that with them. And when parents came, I said, you're taking over a role that you should not. Mm-hmm. And it becomes very stressful because children adjust to tuning out in class because I have someone at home who's going to
because they have the extra support at home. Yeah.
And later on, that doesn't work. And so we turn to tutoring, and it becomes,
and that's again back to the point we were making about accountability, making the children accountable for their own learning and understanding that I have to do it. I have the support system within school and home.
Exactly.
To kind of hold me up and kind of clarify things for me, but I need to take accountability for my own learning.
Now, when we come to a child who is struggling at school, we go back to what you were talking about, the root cause. Yeah. So I always say, if a child is at risk, achieved bad grades, it's one of three things.
Yeah.
Either there are gaps in learning, he moved from one school to another, came, blah, blah, blah. So what we need to do, it's a school thing. Mm-hmm. I need to identify the points of weaknesses, and I need to put a program, an individualized educational program for this child to be able to fill in those gaps. He has no other problem. That's it. Either or actually, it could be something else altogether. It could be, no, the child has a problem. He has, it could be a learning difficulty. It could be suffering from a trauma that, is prohibiting him from achieving what he can.
Yes.
And starting here, this is where we say, okay, we need the parents' involvement.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because we need to identify what is the root cause.
Yeah.
That's where things get sticky.
Mm-hmm.
Parents are very defensive.
Yeah.
And it's not always easy for them to admit problems, especially if they have more than one child.
Mm-hmm.
And, they can stay in denial for a while. And this is where it becomes difficult for the school as well, because I can't help you if you don't help me.
Yeah. And that's where we talk about the mutual cooperation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because both sides need to work together to be able to work for the child. But sometimes one side would want more from the other. So, for example, you have a child who's a little bit hyper in class. You suddenly decide that the child has ADHD. No, he's just, he's just an active child. He's just I can't sit still for a long time, but I can definitely focus, but I get bored if I'm not stimulated. Sure. Children are the same, especially now, that they've got so much energy inside of them. Sure. So don't jump, to the conclusion as a school that, no, I have a hard time having your child in my class, or he asks too many questions, he disrupts, he must have a learning difficulty. No, that doesn't.
Yeah, get him on medication and get him sedated.
That's not okay. Yeah. Don't take the shortcut. Nor is it okay for a parent whose child is suffering, say, you guys don't know how to deal with my child. My child is perfectly fine at all, shows no aggression at all, never fights with anyone. How can you say that my child is biting this or doing that, or, or suffering from any behavior issue? And both sides forget that the core of their mission is ensuring the child's well-being.
Sure.
Without
on every level
trying to be defensive. It's not my problem, it's yours, throwing it at one another. And this is where, if when I look at my friends, at my family, I believe that both sides have become a lot more impatient, and they misinterpret collaboration. So, and in a sense, having accountability makes them want to document everything. So, every time the child leaves his chair, you find an email being sent home. Your child has been disruptive. Your child has been disruptive. Yeah. We sent you 5 emails that your child has been disruptive. Now, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And what have you done?
Yes.
To help. And again, it's the same thing with the school. My child is not happy. The teacher is not giving enough attention to my child. How do you know? Don't believe everything your child says. Try to communicate your concerns in a manner that is not accusatory of the school and the teachers. We are both here for the child. As a school, my job is to serve the children.
Yes.
They're who we work for.
They're your clients, yes. They're your priority.
It's not a matter of client,
They're the priority,
the reason.
They're your
they
focus.
Are the reason you are there. Simply the children's well-being, the students. You serve them. You don't serve anyone else. You work for them, for their well-being, for their better future. And it's the same thing with children suffering from different issues at home, not being accepted by one of their parents, or peer pressure, or the loss of a grandparent, or the loss of, someone dear, or moving from too many schools. And we have seen at school, different schools that I've been to, that a lot of the time parents refuse to accept that because they think it would make them bad parents.
Yeah.
And they don't understand that
they haven't done everything they could.
They can't. No one can do everything they can. Yeah. Children don't come with a catalog. Everyone is manufactured differently. They have different needs. They work differently. So and you're their mom, you're their dad. You're the very best mom for them, and he's the very best dad for them, as long as you're trying. But don't turn a blind eye, because it will only backfire. And the gap, and it usually is a gap in learning and in social acceptance with peers, because aggression happens, just grows and grows and grows. And then there comes a point when you can't help anymore. So again, it's very important that a school is able to communicate in a way with parents that enables the parents to be better as parents. Because you're telling them what to do. You're not informing them. You're not blaming them.
Yeah.
You are truly collaborating. You are trying to understand how that household operates, and you're not judging.
Yes.
Because one of the things that I learned, one of the things I used to do was work as an evaluator accrediting schools. And I remember the very first time I went to a school, I'm comparing. I'm not supposed to, but in the back of my mind, I'm comparing the schools I've been to with the school there. And you have a standard that you're trying to look for. And I remember the lead evaluator saying, "Rasha, you ask yourself this. Is it working for them?"
Yes.
Now, if it's working for them, where does it put it in this rubric? But don't compare to you or to what you have in mind. And it's the same thing with the school. How is this household? Each household is unique and different. Each household has different ways of approaching things. Is it working for them with their circumstances? Don't ask for something that they cannot do. And if you have to explain why.
Yeah.
But don't just give directives
Yes.
And I think that that this is very important. I really believe all schools need to look into this relationship, and I also believe that parents need to have more trust,
Yes,
in the schools that they take their children to, and not question each and every minute action, because again, this is something else. A lot of moms, they're on Facebook, they hear this that about whatever school, and all of a sudden, everyone is an expert, and everyone knows, how a school should be run, or how an English class should be taught, or how a letter should be set. Anything.
the mommy
you have it all.
groups that
Oh, yes.
drive people crazy.
Oh, yes, they drive me crazy, believe me. I'm not afraid to say that. Oh, my God. Sometimes it's like, no. I have been doing this for 23 years. I have a degree, and I really do read. So I'm learning, but that is wrong.
Yes.
I mean, simple things like, my son doesn't have enough homework. He only has half an hour, and then he has nothing to do. I need to keep him busy. Mahawa, you keep him busy, because that's his time with you at home, not doing worksheets, repeating the same thing. Okay. No. He needs extra practice. That's the kind of thing that we face. So again, I just believe that both sides need to be more understanding of one another, they need to pinpoint exactly what they need from the other side, and parents,
that's the part,
and parents
it's expectations, Rasha.
Yes,
I think,
yes,
and this applies to all types of relationships. Whether you're talking, romantic relationships, marriages, friendships, family, it is about expectations. It's about setting and managing the expectations of each other. And that goes back again to communication and being open and clear and consistent as well. And also making sure you're transparent. And these are all the fundamentals of communication, but more importantly, these form the expectations. So I'm not expecting you as a school to do something, and you're not expecting me as, the home to do something. And it's the tug of war, and the child is in the middle. And
exactly.
that's the part that, again, as you said, the focus is we all serve the children, because they're the focus, and we want a better tomorrow for them. And
that's very true.
But I think we also, and this is something that I had to, again, maybe it's part ego, it's part expectations, that I had to extract my own reflections on my education process on our son. I expected him to do this and that, and to, and to get these grades, and to have this attitude, or to study in that way, and I had to stop myself, because my husband and I are very different in the way we approach education. I'm a nerd. I only started admitting I'm a nerd 2 years ago, where I started saying I'm a nerd. I'm proud of it. First it was like,
nerd and proud.
Shy. Exactly. I'm like nerd power now. My husband's not like that. He uses his smart cells to, get what needs to be done. And our son is kind of in the middle, but I put my standards up, that I'm like, I expected him. How can he not be like me? How can he not perform like me? And that is a part that we have to be very aware, that the way we were raised, the way we were educated, is completely irrelevant now.
Why do you have a B plus and not an A? Why is it an A minus and not an A plus?
Well, that is it. And again, it is very culture oriented. It is very technology oriented. And as you said earlier, kids now have so many more inputs and so many distractions that it is difficult for them to get focused. And not because there's something wrong with them, it's just because that is life. For us, TV actually switched on and off. I mean, there were like programming times when we were there. So we didn't have that many
nothing to watch except from 6 to 8, remember? Exactly. And it was from 6 to 7 were cartoons, 7 to 8 was that series, and that was it.
And I was telling my son, him, like, I had pen pals where we write letters to each other and wait for a month. For him, he's connected to his friends on WhatsApp and on phone and on PlayStation and through apps of the PlayStation that they can still chat together. And I'm like, oh my God, they're over connected. They're under social.
Yes.
And these are all things that we have to, I think, again, be non-judgmental when we are talking and thinking of our kids, but more importantly, hold the space for them to grow into who they are and who they are going to be, rather than still trying to self-project onto them our expectations and who we want them to be. And as you started with the first episode, and that's something I tell our son all the time, be the best version of yourself that you can. And every day when I take him to school or whenever, it is, I said, make yourself proud today. Because when you make yourself proud, you make us proud, you make your teachers proud, you make your friends proud. But more importantly, you have to be proud. And it's not about getting A's. It's not about excelling. It's about making sure that you put in the best effort that you could.
Exactly.
And I think these are the fundamentals.
And it's perfectly okay to make mistakes.
Yes.
That's the only way we learn, by making mistakes.
True.
Yes, that's very true. That's very true.
Well, as always, I love these Uncharted discussions because we get into topics that we can talk about forever, but I've taken enough of your time. So thank you so much for this.
Thank you for inviting me. Truly, thank you.
It was enriching. And I think now we kept saying since the lockdown, we kept saying, I appreciate teachers a lot more now. I appreciate
Not easy. The decision to keep a school open the next day, and you're like, hopefully, everyone's going to be fine. Everyone's going to have their masks on, no one's going to get sick.
No, I know that this is a very noble mission. And I know you really have to extract your ego out of it to be able to provide the best service that you can for the children, because you, as much as parents do, but you also have a huge impact on shaping who they are and their personalities and who they, grow up to be. And we've all had our experiences with the lovely teachers and with the not so lovely teachers.
You learn what to not do.
Exactly. But so thank you for being with me today.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for being the first educator in terms of literally the education field on the podcast. So you're first too.
Thank you.
I love this. As always, empowered you empowers others. The empowered version of you is one that holds the space, is one that has no judgment and passes no judgment, and is one that really becomes the best version of themselves possible tomorrow than they were today, and after tomorrow than they are tomorrow, and hold a space for the children to have that path too. Thank you very much. Love, abundance, and prosperity to you all. Thank you for listening to the Empowered to Grow podcast. For further engagement with a tribe of empowered women, join my Facebook group, Empowered to Grow, or visit my website, www.hananelbasha.com. I'll catch you on the next episode. And until then, know that empowered you empowers others. Love, abundance, and prosperity to you all.